What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock. We're going back for another tune from Ben Fraser's Creeping Tide project. I enjoyed very much reacting to the first song, which is called The Sinners. And indeed, it was an enjoyable journey for me because I was thinking about what the lyrics might relate to in advance, which I often do when I don't know a song. I'll just think about the title and, the semantics and sort of conceptual ideas that it suggests to me. But then over the course of the song, it became clear it was kind of flipped from the way I was originally thinking of it, which was a very enjoyable twist. So yeah, shout out to Ben. I mentioned before, he makes acid techno, acid psy under different names. His own name, Ben Fraser, also Sabretooth. And yeah, when Chris told me that he was also doing a punk rock project, I was very excited because I mentioned it before. Acid music more generally, but specifically kind of the UK, London acid techno sound, I just sort of relate it to punk rock. To me, it's like the punk rock of the electronic music world in terms of I was going to punk shows for a couple years. I discovered punk when I was 13, 14. And then in late 96, I started listening to electronic music, very quickly discovered acid techno because my brother introduced me to Goa Trance and I kept hearing this sound. I was like, what is that sound? It's like, oh, that's the acid sound. There are actually genres that are all about that. I was like, oh, do tell. But yeah, so then I started to listen to acid techno and, buying releases from Chris and, Stay Up Forever and so on. And I quickly felt man, there's a DIY ethos, there's an underground, progressive sort of social, cultural, and political attitude. So again, to me, acid techno and punk rock go hand in hand. So it doesn't surprise me that there are other people in the punk rock and acid techno world that share that enjoyment of both sides of that sort of equation. But yeah, so we're going to listen to the second tune on the album. It's called Spitefall. I like the name. Obviously, spite, it's an emotional disposition relative to another entity, be it a single person or maybe an organization or, a larger entity than that. But it's when you want to do something negative toward that entity, not because it'll necessarily benefit you in any way, you just want to cause them suffering or pain or inconvenience at the very least. And then fall, it's an interesting juxtaposition because if one is overly vengeful or perhaps letting their emotions cloud their judgment, one can make bad decisions, which even just as a general principle, I try to be a very positive and nonviolent person. So the idea of living your life with spite, Schadenfreude, you want people to suffer, or so on. I think it's a very psychologically and emotionally toxic mentality. And indeed, spiteful almost suggests to me a sort of a fall through hubris. This idea that oh, I wanted this person to suffer so badly that I made certain choices which actually made me come crumbling down because I was so obsessed with negativity towards someone else. So I don't know if that'll have anything to do with the song. And again, it's a bit more of a poetic sort of phrase. It's not a sentence with a specific oh, these people are bad or whatever it is. It's a spiteful. It's a poetic sort of literary kind of feeling to the title. So yeah, we'll have to see what it's about. I mentioned it before when I do these pre-song title sort of speculations. I'm well aware that it often will have nothing to do with the song whatsoever, but it's just a way to get my brain working and hopefully get it ready to pick up some lines from the song. So let's get to it without any further ado. This is Ben Fraser's Creeping Tide project and it's Spitefall. Oh yeah. Oh. Getting Social Distortion vibes or something. Yeah. I like the guitar. Hate is what you're feeding on? Is that what he said? cycles. I think I heard bitter in there. Cycle and then something spiteful. Kind of reminds me like DOA too, or like TSOL. Like that high melodic guitar. Spiteful, like full of spite. I like that cheeky ending. Yeah, I think there's like a few renderings. I think spiteful, but also spiteful, perhaps are also being used. I swear I heard bitter in there somewhere, and there's like something about a cycle and spiteful. So maybe some of the speculations that I was working on at the beginning might be running in a similar direction as some of the lines, but I gotta listen to it some more. That often happens, especially with like punk rock. Like, you know, sometimes like synth pop or something, the vocals will come across a little more clearly. But a lot of times with punk rock, even bands that, you know, I've been listening to a long time and like I know the singer's voice very well, even then I'll have to listen to it a few times to pick up on the majority of the lines. But yeah, I feel like maybe there was something in relation to what I was thinking about beforehand, but I'll have to listen to some more. As I said, I really enjoyed the music of that one. It had a kind of like, you know, early 80s sort of punk feel. Again, like DOA, Social Distortion, TSOL, somewhere in that sort of like gritty, but also sort of like euphoric, kind of feel-good punk rock vibe. So yeah, musically, I really enjoyed that one. Lyrically, I got to hear it some more. Once again, shout out to Ben Fraser. Really enjoying the idea of another person in the acid techno world who does punk rock. I've mentioned before, like I've been listening to Dogshite for a few years now, and you know, Chris was able to find a 10-inch, or no, it's a 12-inch. No, it's a 10-inch. I think it is a 10-inch. But yeah, basically they released a vinyl release in the last, like, I don't know, year or two. I think it was 2020 actually. But yeah, so I've been listening to like Chris not only in his acid techno world, but also listen to punk rock. So yeah, it's just, again, it's cool to know that there are more people in the acid techno world who share both of those interests. So yeah, big ups to Ben. Let me know what you think of the tune. The next time we come back to the album, the next song that we're going to listen to is Release It. So I'll look forward to that one. Let me know what you think of this, and I will see you next time. Peace.